Hi YouTube family, I'm here in my favourite car park in the world to talk about mental health today. So you might have noticed that an awful lot of the songs of my new album are around the theme of overcoming depression. So I've come somewhere really peaceful and beautiful, only there's quite a lot of traffic because it's a bank holiday, to talk a little bit about how I recovered from depression, and I hope it's going to be useful to some of you. So I was inspired to make this video by Eiley, who is an amazing singer and songwriter that I've worked with in Norway. I'm going to link to her channel below. She's a good bit younger than me, and it seems to me that a younger generation is very comfortable in talking about mental health issues. Now, I had some discomfort in making this video, not because I feel there's a stigma around admitting that I've been treated for anxiety and depression, because I'm happy to tell people that, but because so many musicians and public figures are talking about mental health, and some of them in a way that is, let's be honest, a bit cringy. And I think that, we can be afraid of thinking that we're using our help to try and promote our work. And with me, it really is the opposite. I want people to hear the new album, to hear the songs, and if they're in a bad place at the moment, to believe that they can come through to the other side, which is what happened to me. I really did experience what medically is known as depression, which means that the way that you feel and how your emotions are actually stop you from functioning to your full extent. So you're not able to go out and see people as much, you're not able to achieve your goals as much, you don't feel good about yourself, all those kind of things. So the medical term is depression, but I would say I actually experienced despair. And how that happened in my case was when I was about 14, I started falling asleep in class. And, as a teenager, my teachers actually made fun of me for this. And a few months later, this really, really severe pain started in my neck. And it was a really severe pain. It was so sore that I actually had to lift my head with my hands when I got up in the morning. Kept going to the doctor. They told me it was bad posture and sent me to the physio, who put my neck in traction, which caused me to nearly pass out. Then my ankles swole up, and my GP, wrongly as it turned out, said that my ankle and my neck could not be related. So what I was actually experiencing was the onset of juvenile rheumatoid arthritis and a condition called ankylosing spondylitis, which at this point in my life has fused the base of my skull right the way through to my C5 vertebrae, so I can't turn my head, and I have problems in a lot of my joints. I experience a lot of pain, and I had no diagnosis for this for about 8 years. And then when I did get a diagnosis and I was seen in rheumatology at the age of 23, I was basically given a diagnosis and dumped. I wasn't seen again for another 2 years. And, there was a very flippant attitude amongst the medics. No one wanted to engage with me. No one wanted to talk with me. And no one talked about the mental health aspects of getting a diagnosis like that. I already had type 1 diabetes, which I had since I was 4. So I was used to living with chronic illness, but this was a whole other ballpark. I saw the future that I had imagined for myself disappear out the window. I had wanted to be a professional singer, which now obviously I am, but at that time I wanted to be a classical singer, and the fusion in my neck was going to be a real problem with that. And I'd been told I was going to be in pain for the rest of my life. And then I was just dumped. There was no support. No one ever asked me how I felt emotionally. I found that other people of my age didn't really understand what I was going through, because it was a point in your life when you were quite young. At the age that I am now, a lot of people my age have had problems with their health. People are a bit more empathetic, but I didn't necessarily have people around me who understood that process of, you get this diagnosis and your life changes in a flash. So time went on. A few years later, my father died. He was pretty much the person I was closest to in the world. So there was these hugely stressful events in my life. I would say, and I have been told by mental health practitioners, that I am very resilient as a person, and I actually have a tendency towards mental good health. But the strain that my body was under, and the strain of my circumstances, just caused my mental health to break down. I had problems with depression, which was the symptoms that I've described before, of hopelessness really, and just believing that I wasn't going to have the life that I thought
I wanted. But depression is a liar. It tells you that you can't have the things you want, but it is entirely possible that you still can. I also developed a generalized anxiety disorder, for which I was treated with medication. And nowadays, I run a successful business doing something that I completely love. I have solid girlfriends. I live in a beautiful part of the world. I have a niece and nephew and a family that I adore. So why am I happy now? What did I do that brought me out of that place that I was in? So there's a few things that I'm going to list. Number one, and I've mentioned it before, was seeking help. If you broke your arm, you would go to A&E. So if something happens to your mental health, seek properly qualified advice, and nothing in this video is meant to be a substitute for that. I would say one very important thing that I do that lifts my spirits and allows me to live with the level of pain that I'm in, whilst actually, having a pretty productive life, I would say, is I do what I love. You can see that I've chosen to film with my keyboard behind me because music is what I love. And whatever it is that you love, just do it. It doesn't matter if you're not doing it professionally, but make time in your life for things that just bring you joy. I also love to be out in nature. You saw me at the start of this video out in nature, and actually sometimes going for a walk can be quite painful for me, but I have to accept a certain level of pain in order to do the things I love, and it's just so fundamental to do the things that you love. Another thing that I did was that I took control and I worked towards my goals, because I had believed that I wasn't going to be a singer. I allowed the dust to grow on my piano. I had CDs that I had bought back in the day, still in the cling wrap. I lost music for a while, and that was devastating. And then a family friend said to me, you would just feel so much better physically and mentally if you played again. And it wasn't just about doing something I loved. I then started to feel like I was in control and the depression wasn't so much. So I took a huge gamble. I took my father's life insurance and I moved to England for a year, where I was treated at the Royal National Hospital for Rheumatic Diseases. It's a centre of excellence, but the excellence isn't just in the medical care, it's in the attitude. And that is something I really want to say. Get help. And if you can't get help, and if the people that should be helping you aren't helping you, keep going, keep trying. Don't start to believe that help isn't out there. See, I unfortunately got to the point where I believed if I couldn't help myself, then the situation couldn't be fixed. And that's something that I have had to address with a counsellor, because I had that experience over a period of years of people not wanting to help me, and that was very damaging to me. But I discovered in the end that help did exist. So if you feel like you haven't got the help you need, keep trying. Maybe reach out to someone who has found the help that they need and ask how they did it, but don't give up on trying to get help, and it will also put you in control. So it's never a sign of weakness to ask for help. Another thing that really helped me, and this may sound so silly, Lord of the Rings. When I was in a really, really bad place, my grandfather had just died when the final Lord of the Rings movie came out, and because my father had been hit by a drunk driver and sustained a brain injury when I was nearly 8, my grandfather had really been a father figure in my life and had helped bring me up. So the loss of him was devastating, and there was that grief. And there was something in this artwork, because one of the key themes of it was hope, that lifted my spirits. And art actually has that power. Again, that ties in with like doing the things you love. J.R.R. Tolkien wrote about a concept he called applicability, where people read a story, hear a song, engage with an art form, and see their own story in it, not just the story that's being presented. And as a songwriter, that's what I want to do. Because my tutor on my Master of Music degree once said, a good song makes the listener believe it's the singer's story, but a great song makes the listener believe it's the listener's story. And I want to create artworks that people can connect with their own lives, because that is something that hugely helped me. So another thing that is a very important factor in where I am now is that I am a person of a deep faith. And if you're not, that's fine, but this is, part of my personal journey. That gave me hope, because faith and hope are very much connected. And at one point I completely lost hope. I didn't have the sense of a future. And that was something that I really connected with through my faith. It also gave me a supportive community. Now, if you're not involved in a religious community, you can maybe find a community support in some other way, possibly through doing the things you love. I mean, I know I keep saying this over and over and over again. Do the things you love, because not only will that lift your spirits, but it like connects you with other people who love the same things, who have the same interests, and who are likely to have the same values. And that's really important. So if you have that kind of community around you, that is an amazing thing. And just in my case, it's like purposefully searching for peace was really something quite important, because I am not by nature a peaceful person. I'm a very goal-driven, constantly moving person. Despite having chronic fatigue as part of my condition, I have huge amounts of energy. I find it very difficult to sleep. Possibly that's because, I have in the past been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, so I'm jumpy. But, experiencing peace is not just something that in the moment it's like, oh, it's a beautiful day and, I'm just really enjoying myself here. Although that's important, and it's important to be in the moment, but something that is longer lasting than that you can like tap into when you need to. Psychotherapy. I actually underwent CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. I have some training myself, because before I was a lazy ass musician, I worked in a field allied with mental health, with people with acquired brain injuries. They and their family had been through terrible traumas. So, I learned the concepts of CBT and of person-centered planning, different forms of therapy as part of that role. I find CBT very, very useful. I find it really good for detaching myself for certain situations and being able to realize that there were certain things that I was trying to control that I couldn't control. And that brings me on to something that I learned through therapy, which is so important. For a while, pain management was all about setting goals and managing goals. And because I run my own business, my life is very goal orientated. Anyway, I have type 1 diabetes. I'm constantly testing my blood sugars. I have target numbers in that. That was the way I lived my life anyway. And what I unfortunately tried to do was try and control things that I can't control. I can't control my pain. It's autoimmune. My immune system attacks healthy cells, and then I experience pain, and I actually don't have control over that. So something that a therapist said to me, which was profoundly useful, and I hope that you'll take this from this video, is where a situation can be fixed, where there is a problem that is solvable, apply problem-solving thinking. And where something can't actually be fixed, it can't be changed, then you have to apply emotion-based coping. And I had no concept of emotion-based coping, because I'd been trying to problem solve everything. And that obviously left me with an anxiety disorder. So that I found really useful. And something they got me to do was to write down the things that I could control and the things that I couldn't. That brings us back to the old serenity prayer, doesn't it? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Now, even if you're not a person of faith, just that concept of letting go of some stuff, I'm hoped that I've been able to describe what emotion-based coping looks like for me. The whole do the thing you love, that's a big part of it. And that really helped me to progress. Because some of the things that I'm going to be living with long term, my rheumatoid arthritis and ankylosing spondylitis is not going to disappear. I'm always going to be in a certain level of pain. I walk through fire. Every day I walk through fire, but I do walk through it, and the walk through it has taken me some fantastic places. I ended up doing what I should always have done, becoming a singer-songwriter, which I love. Through my work, I've met some amazing people. I talked about Eiley at the start of the video. Actually, all the guys Out of the Woods in Norway are amazing people. Alan Palmer in Nashville, Amanda Agnew here in Bangor, Northern Ireland, DL in Ferrum in England, who I adore. I have just met people who are both colleagues and friends who have enriched my life, and all of them very, very different. Some of them with very different perspectives on the world than me. And, that has had a knock-on effect on me as a person. And I'm just so grateful for it. And in a strange way, that wouldn't have happened without my condition. And as I walk through this fire, I'm not walking alone. I have solid gold friends, as I mentioned, who are walking with me. This is just me giving my story and my thoughts, and I hope that it has been useful to you. I'd be really, really interested to hear your journey. Let's have a discussion about mental health. If you want to post in the comment, if you've got any videos about your own mental health or things that you've done that have helped your mental health, if you want to link to them here, that would be totally amazing. Thanks so much for sitting through a video this long. I hope that it's been helpful to you. If you're not a subscriber, please do subscribe and join my YouTube tribe. I release music videos, music is me, also videos on chronic illness, especially type 1 diabetes and rheumatoid arthritis. And also, if you would like a career in music, you want to be a singer, you want to be a songwriter, I have some advice on that as well. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video.